Come with me! I'm coming to you!
Stay with me.
I, Martin faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Easily así.
What happened on the lake?
What's going on? My husband's in the ICU.
Leah, I know this is
Fallen tonight. Secret Service agent Mike Manning. Mrs. Manning!
Thompson.
The night begins with heartbeat low, steady, almost deciding until instantly is not a voice cuts through the darkness, calm but heavy, telling us that heroes do not fall at once, they fall piece by piece. This is the word of angels has fallen, a world where loyalty is punished, truth is buried, and the men sworn to protect the most powerful office on earth becomes its most hunted enemy. From the very first frame she film grabs you by the collar and pulls you into the relentless chase. Everywhere buried, feel broad. This is not just another action squeal, it is story about a man who has given everything to his duty, is now being crushed by the weight of it. The camera lingers on exhaustion, on scars both visible and the hidden, and we immediately understand that this time and danger is not just coming from terrorists or shadowy enemies, it's coming from within the system. Mike Penning trusted within his life. As the tone settles, the movie carefully reminds us who Mike's Penning is without drawing us in exposition. His order now slower in way he refuses to admit, carrying physical pain that never fully fades. Sleepless night, pills hidden away, a body breaking down over years of throwing itself in front of bullets. Yet beneath all of that is the same man who once saved the president inside the White House and against in London. Angel has fallen, set up his premise with a quiet confidence when the ultimate protector becomes the ultimate suspect. The film promises betrayal, conspiracy, and a deeply personal battle, all well grounded in a spectacle and a character we have watched evolve across film. There's a sense of finality in the air as it's every step Mike takes could be his last, not just in his career but in his life. The story denotes during that should have been a peaceful moment. President Trumbull, relaxed and smiling, joins Mike for a quiet fishing trip, a rare pause from the chores of global politics. The water is calm, sunlight dances across the surface, and for a moment the film let us breathe. Then the sky itself turned hostile. The swarm of weaponized drones descend like mechanical insects, unleashing hell with terrifying precision. The attack is swift betrayal and disorienting, shoot with a jaw that mirror my own panic as he throws himself into action. He fired this separately, but this time his board does not respond the way it once did. The president is gravely injured and Mike is knocked unconsciousness. When he wakes up, the world has already decided his fate. The drones, the weapons, the planning, everything traces back to him. In a cruel twist, a man who saved the president's life is accused of trying to end it. What follows a nightmare spiral. Mike is arrested, interrogated, and stripped of his identity. In a matter of hours, the film slow The film slowed down here, letting the injustice sink in. Close-up shots linger on his face and realization dawns. He been framed perfectly. Mercilessly, the system has trusted does not hesitate. Evidence is airtight, testimony demanding, and even his own allies are forced to doubt. Escaping custody is not a triumphant movement. It is frantic and painful, fueled by survival rather than heroism. Every chance through dark street and rain-soaked alleys reinforces that idea that Mike is not running towards something. He's running away from Ereshord. Meanwhile, the real villains stay hidden, manipulating events from behind. Police smile and government titles at Mike goes underground. The film shifts to the river. More intimate gear, injured and hunted, returned the one place he swore he had never go to back. He estranged father Clay Banning. This reunion is awkward, bitter, and emotionally loaded. Clay is survivalist, living off the grid, a man who abandoned institution long ago, convinced they would eventually betray everyone through their strained conservation. The movie deepened its core trust is fragile and blind faith can be deadly. Nick Nolte's performance add a haunting layer, portraying a father who failed in some way but may be right about the world after all. Their relationship matters. The larger story, broken bonds, unresolved anger, and desperate hope for redemption. The conspiracy slowly reveals itself through blood and betrayal. The real architect of drone attack are not foreign enemies but powerful private contractor and corrupted official who profit for endless war. The film weaves this revelation into its action, letting shots out ambitious, double a story progression. Every fight feels heavier because Mike is not just battling mercenaries, fighting a system designed to discard him. There a chilling realism to how easily truth is buried when money and influence are involved. Small detail background, new report, throwaway lines about defense contract act as subtle Easter eggs, grounding the conspiracy in real world anxieties. Angela's Fallon quietly asks an uncomfortable question: what happened when those men to protect the nation decided more profitable to control it? As the tension escalates, Mike's physical and emotional limits are pushed to the edge. His injuries worsen, his pill run out, and the hallucination creep in, blurring memory and guilt. These moments humanize him more than any explosion ever could. He terrified not just flying but of failing his wife and child, of leaving behind a legacy tainted by lie. When he finally begins to turn the devil, it is not through brute force alone, but through stubborn persistence and the hard-earned clarity. Allies emerge in unexpected places, including those who once doubted him, reinforcing the idea that truth, while fragile, can fight its way to fulfill. The climax unfolds in the heart of power, where chaos erupts as well. The hidden threats collide, gunfire echoes through corridors meant for diplomacy, and secrets are exposed under fluorescent lights, Mike's final confrontation is not just about survival, it's about reclaiming his name. This action is relentless, but the emotional stakes stay away and center. Each scene he makes is weighted against the cost of continuing his life. When the real villain falls, there's no triumphant celebration, only exhaustion and the quiet reckoning. The president survived, the truth is revealed, but nothing feels entirely repaired. The damage, both personal and institutional, runs too deep. In the aftermath, Angela's fallen slow it pulse once more. Mike is clear, but the victory feels hollow. He offered honors, promotion, a chance to keep fighting. But the film makes it clear that this chapter has taken everything they held, fluff, the subtle visual storytelling. We see him choosing presence over prestige, family over duty. The symbolism is deliberate. A man stripping out shadows, finally allowing himself to test. Behind the scene trivia adds another layer here. The film was designed as a potential farewell to Gerard Butler characters, which explain the reflective tone and empathizes on legacy. The final movement leaves us with a sense of clear that rain for action. Franchi's angle has fallen to the about saving the world. It's about surviving it with your soul intact. Through betrayal, bonus, and sacrifice, Mike Banning's journey become a meditation on the loyalty, edging, and the cost of heroism. The film closed not only an explain but an on a quiet understanding. Sometimes the bravest act is not standing in front of bullet, but knowing when to finally step aside. And as the screen fades to black, the steady heartbeat returns, slowed now but still alive, reminding us that even fallen angels can find their way back to light. The story begins to unfold with mere tension as the film take a moment to remind us why Mike Banning is not just a bodyguard, but a man defined by duty and unflinching moral code, even in the quiet of White House corridors. The camera lingers on his every step, capturing the weight of a experience in his eyes, a subtle tremor in his hand as he checks his firearm, and the faint weirdness in his the game. We see him interact with the president Trumbull, and the relationship forked in a wire, and crisis built on mutual respect and spoken understanding that word cannot always convey. Their small smiles and curt nods hint at years of shared trauma and victory, the bond that becomes the emotional backbone of the film. The filmmaker uses quiet moment to see the tone, establishing that the story is not only about speculator violence but about human stake loyalty and the erosion of trust in the world where alliances are fragile. As the plot steadily tightens its grips, the narrative shifts to the finishing fishing trip that set the entire chain of events into motion. The scene is deceptively Sydney's gentle waves lap against the hull, sunlight glimpses of the water surface, and only sound are the occasional splash of fish or the soft murmur of conversation. That this claim is miraculously crafted cinematic lulls before the storm, suddenly without warning the scene erupts into chaos. Advanced drones materialize out of nowhere, their precise mechanical movement contrasting sharply with the natural tranquility. The attack is violent yet choreographed with cinematic elegance. The camera swap and pivots with Banning, immersing the viewers in his frantic struggle. The opposition of pace Peace shattered by technology, superior weaponry immediately escalate the stack, transforming a simple recreational outlining into a life and death crucible. Every movement, every close-up on his strains, muscles, and the grimacing force communicate dispersion, vulnerability, and the cruel irony of protector, tragedied by those he walked through serve in the aftermath of ambush. The narrative deftly transition to the fallout, exploring the betrayal that drive the story forward, banning Afghan the savior, but the accused, stripped of credibility and hunted relentlessly. The filmmakers slow the pacing here, allowing viewers to feel the suffocating weight of justice. The witness him navigating police station, interrogation rooms, and the surveillance heavy corridors, each frame empathizing the surveillance state, cool, unfeeling nature. The association is precise, almost surgical in its execution. Evidence is planted, testimony manipulated, and the very system designed to protect him now conspiring to imprison him. Cinematic technique heightened this tension with dim light, tight framing, and a muted color reflecting his isolation and the oppressive weight of suspicion. The audience is made to experience the fear, the disbelief, and the suffocating urgency alongside bending, solidifying their emotional investment in his struggle. This section also introduced subtle narrative threads hinting at the deeper conspiracy and play. Casual dialogue from secondary character, glimpses of official document, and fleeting shots of shadowy figure established that the assault was orchestrated with the precision, but the true mastermind remains shrouded in mysteries. These carefully placed clues create a sense of intelligence, storytelling, inviting viewers to engage actively with the plot while maintaining suspense. The sense construction combined with deliberate pacing, ensuring that the audience never feel rushed. Instead, tension mouth medically reinforcing the film's central theme in the world of deception, betrayal. Even the most seasoned protector can become a target. By the end of this section, the stage is set for an intricate web of action, strategy, and emotional stake that will carry the narrative through its harrowing, relentless movement. This story plunges deeper into chaos as King Banning escape custody. The film now fully embracing the tension of man running against impossible odds. Every step we take is measured yet frantic. Every alley, every darkened street become both a battlefield and a puzzle, and he must soul will survive. The cinematography mirrors this depression, shaky hand held short during chases give the audience the physical sense of stumbling through danger, while long lingering close-up reveal the mental toll of betrayal. We see him navigate checkpoints, evade armed pressure, and improvise with integrity born from years of training. These sequences are not merely spectacle, they're storytelling, a visual narration of man's tribe of trust and forced to really slowly on his instincts. These on glamour here only. Gritty realisms, sweet-blood biases, and the relentless pounding of fear. Every movement from vaulting over obstacle to ducking behind wall reinforce the notion that survival is as much mental as it is physical. During the relentless fight, the narrative reduces the emotional stake that elevate the story beyond mere action. Mike mind frequently gift to his family, his wife, his child, and the precautions of leaving them unprotected in a world that has already turned against him. Flashback, a sparse but powerful laugh shared on a quiet morning, a small gesture of tenderness, a fleeting movement that now feels impossibly distant. These moments serve as emotional anchors, reminding this audience that the protagonist's struggle is personal, though just a procedural. Each heartbeat of tension is amplified by the fear of failure, dread of losing those he loved, the grieving uncertainty of whether justice can ever be restored. The film makes this fear tangible not through dialogue alone but through performance. Subtle shift in Butler expression, attention in his jaw, the heavy exhalation as navigates one danger of after another, and the manhunt intensified. Angela's villain carefully layered in the beginning of conspiracy that drive the central mystery. Tiny Terra supplied to the narrative a security badge laying in the abandoned vein, a floating image of shadows figure watching from a rooftop, a seemingly innocuous phone call, and audience is invited to piece together the puzzle alongside Banning, crafting a dynamic tension between what is visible and what is hidden. This is storytelling that respects intelligence, rewarding attention to detail without overwhelming the viewer with exposition. At the same time, the film pacing ensured that suspense never falters. Every revelation is paired with action, and each action is laden with narrative significance. Nothing feels wasted or just significant, stimulously thrilling, and narratively purposeful. This action reaches a critical emotional turning point where Banning seeks out his entrenched father, Clay, a survivalist who distrust of governor institution has hardened him into a longer resistance is tense, layered without resolved resentment and years of unspoken grievance. Clay remote cabins surrounding by wilderness become a temporary sanctuary and a narrative device, a place where father and son confront not only external threats but internal ones. Their interactions are rich with substract, each curt answer, every very glance, every small act of protection reflect decades of complicated history. The film uses realism to explore themes of legacy, trust and redemption. Clay is not just a sporting character, he embodies a cautionary voice of experience, the embodiment of what happens when survival instinct clash with more responsibility. Through this movement, story ground with high octane action in deeply human action. As section 3 concludes, the audience is fully immersed in a world where survival is uncertain, betrayal is constant, and strikes are personal as they are global. The framing, pacing, the emotional undercurrent, all work is concerned to prepare the viewer for the revelation that will follow. The narrative has performed, banning from heroic figure of mythic resilience into a vulnerable, relatable man, a protagonist whose battles are fought on multiple fronts, physical, emotional, ethical. By the end of this section, the tension is taut. The stakes are clear and the audience is primed for the next stage of the story, uncovering the full scope of the conspiracy and confronting the force that intricate web of power, greed, and manipulation that has been orchestrated with ruthless precision. The conspirator are the not longer faceless antagonists. They are men and women of influence operating behind polished corporate facade, manipulating even from the shadows. Each revelation is deliberate with careful pacing, intercepted communication, clandestine meeting, and subtle inconsistency is official statement are blind a sense of inevitability, and it's the fall themselves are closing in. The cinematography mirrored the psychological pressure, tight, oppressive framing, dimly lit rooms, reflection glass panels, and the slow tracking shots that suggest unseen observer. The tension is constant, reminder the viewer that in the world ruled by duplicity, that no one, not even decorated protector like Banning, is safe from suspicious or attack. During this section, Banning's strategic brilliance comes to forefront, unlike an earlier sequence where the survivor relied heavily on reflex and instinct. Here, this intelligence and deductive skills are showcased. He despairs pattern and defies anomalies, and the anticipation move before they happen, turning the chase into a calculated battle of words. Each step forward is maturely planned, yet still fought with danger. His physical limitations from periodic injuries and heroism and vulnerable to his character. This is a man at the interaction of human fragility and the indomitable will, and the film captured it with cinematic flares. Sweeping aerial shoots of his resort through urban landscape juxtaposed against claustrophobic close-up that heighten his exhaustion, determination, and razor-sharp focus. Every moment tells a story. Every glance conveys calculation and emotion, and the audience is pulled fully into an experience. The emotional stake intensify as the Banning reconnect with allies who are equally tested by the reality and fear. Characters such as Agent Thompson and Hannah will seemingly secondary and given depth through their moral dilemmas and personal risk. demonstrating that betrayal does not exist in vacuum. Its affect families, career and personal ethics. Subtle dialogues reveal their motivation, while tense moments of hesitation and decision making amplify the suspense. In these interactions, the audience is reminded that every choice has consequence, and even a smallest decision can tip the balance between life and death. Stimulously, Section 4 layer in cinematic symbolism that enrich the story with distorting from his movement. Shadows and reflections are used to represent hidden trust and duality, the recurring presence of drones and the surveillance equipments. Understand the theme of omnipresent control and the recurring imagery of word, water, first seen in the fishing scene, repairs the motive for the unpredictability and the danger lurking. Beneath calm surfaces, that visual element elevates the narrative, creating a subconscious resonance that heightens tension, thematic depth. The filmmaker demonstrates a mystery of visual storytelling, blending action and symbolism in a way that engages both the intellect and emotion of the audience. The section reached its first major turning point with banning uncovered concrete evidence of conspiracy. Artichoke, high-ranking contractor and government official who protect from chosen conflict. The revelation transformed the story from the manhunt in the full-fledged moral battle. A stake escalate beyond personal survival to exposing systematic corruption that threaten national security. The confrontation between Banning's integrity and the conspirator cavalierly drive the pacing into almost unbearable tension, and the audience feels every heartbeat, every calculated risk, every brush with exposure. By the end of section 4, the plot is dispersion has been revealed, alliances are tested, and Mike Banning is now not just fighting for his wife, but for truth itself. The stake is set for escalating action, emotional confrontation, and the unmasking of the war. People responsible for his fall for grace. Section 5 dwells on the emotional and psychological core of Angel as Phelan, focusing on the man behind the heroic Mike Banning. By now, the has witnessed his physical prowess, tactical brilliance, and relentless determination. By section examine the emotional cost of the life lived in the service of others, banning motivation and no longer just professional duty. They are deeply personal. Every action it takes, every calculated through a lens of loyalty, love, and moral responsibility. The filmmaker used close-up and intimate framing to expose a subtle crack on his armor, a fleeting remains, any memories of past failures surface, a lingering glance at family photograph, the tremor in his hand as he reached for a weapon. This small humanizing detail transforms from a archetype of action heroism in a fully realized character whose vulnerabilities are as compelling as its strength. The relationship between Mike and the President Trumbull is explored with particular care in this section. Their bond has always been defined by mutual trust and unspoken understanding, yet the framing of his narrative now challenges it. Trumbull near fatal injury during the ambush cast a shadow of guilt over banning concise, even though the attack was now his fault. The subtle tension in their interactions, furtive glance, climbed dialogues, and the restrained gestures speak volumes about the emotional stakes at play. Banning internal conflict is amplified. He's a man trained to protect to all costs, yet powerless to pretend harm to the person he holds most scared. This tension drives much of his decision making, giving depth and urgency to every action sequence and chase scene, while grounding the spectacle in real human emotion. Family ties are equally central to his action. Character exploration, the interaction between Mike and his father, Clay, reveal layer of complexity that enrich the narrative. Clay, survivalist philosophy, and the bitter cynicism clash with Mikey's unwavering sense of duty, creating conflict that is both ideological and deeply personal. Their exchange are taught with unspoken regret and passed on years of strained communication. Missed opportunities surface in brief but charged conversation. This moment emulate the theme of legacy. What do we pass on the next generation? How do we choose define them? Clay's 100 pragmatism challenge Mike's moral contenties, forcing him to confront not only the external threats of conspiracy but also his own limitation. Believe the audience demanded that heroism comes at the cost and the burden of responsibilities never carried his isolation. The conspirator manipulation further complicate Banning's emotional journey. He is constantly forced to question loyalties, including those of close allies, amplifying his isolation. The narrative emphasizes that trust is the most dangerous commodity in his world. A single miscalculation could mean death, capture, and irreversible damage to innocent lives. Cinematic techniques reinforce this tension with dim lighting, mirrors, and reflection used symbolically represent deception and the understanding. Every character Banning encounter operators is shadows of in shades of grey, making it impossible for him and the audience to discern friend from foe without scrutiny. The moral ambiguity heightens suspense while deepening character development, making each decision feel consequential and the psychological resonance. By the end of section 5, the film has fully established the emotional and psychological stack. Mike Banning is not longer just a skilled operative fighting from survival. Is a man weighed down by duty, guilt, and love for to navigate a world where deception is everywhere, morality is ever simple. His relationship with family, allies as the president, serve as a both ensure and source of tension, creating a rich layered portrait of heroism that extends beyond action sequence. This section not only emulates character motivation but also reinforces the thematic core of the film. The interplay between loyalty, trust, and the cost of living a life dedicated to protecting others. The audience is left deeply invested, emotionally enlightened with Banning, and fully prepared for the escalating conflict and the revelation that awaits in the following section. Section 6 shifts the force from the personal to the thematic, revealing a deeper layer that make Fallon more the conventional action thriller. At its core, the film is meditation on trust, power, and the fragility of truth. In a world built on appearance, cinematic technique throughout his action empathizes seem long tracking shot follow Mike through corridors heavy with shadows, suggesting the omnipresence of surveillance and the hidden agendas. While reflecting glass and water serve as visual metaphors for duplicity, every night chase and confrontation is framed not only as a struggle for survival but a battle discerned reality for manipulation. The film deliberate color palette, muted grays, deep blues, occasional flashes of warm tones mirror the tension between cold bureaucracy and human warmth, reforming the psychological weight of the story. Symbolism is woven seamlessly into the action, grounding the spectacle in narrative meaning. Water, first introduced during the fishing trip, recurs throughout the film as a motive for unpredictability and danger lurking beneath calm surfaces, scene of burning wedding through flooded streets and confronting streets on rain-soaked terrain are not merely visually striking. They reinforce the idea that peril can emerge where least expected, echoing a narrative broader century or hidden threats within system of power. Similarly, drones and surveillance technically operate as symbol of both omnipotence and instruction, representing a world where privacy is imperiled and trust is fragile. Even minor visual cues, shadows cast across faces, reflected monitors, or the flickers of emergency light carry thematic weight, empathizing the film, careful attention, the storytelling through cinematic craft. Angel has Fallon also explored moral ambiguity, particularly through its reception of power, corruption. These conspirations are not cartoon villains, they are sophisticated, calculating, and disturbingly plausible. Their motivation, profit, influence, self-preservation mirror real-world anxiety anxieties about unchecked corporate and political power. The film juxtaposes their calculation calm with banning visceral human struggle, highlighting the contrast between the machinized and the messy emotional resilience of individual courage. Thematic tension is central to the narrative, making each confrontation more than a simple action beat. It's become a statement on the nature of reality, ethic, and the cost of freedom in the compromised world. Retail an Easter egg in the thematic exploration without disturbing the story flow. Subtle background props, new broadcast, and even dialogue lines hint at a larger systematic corporation rewarding attentive viewer a sense of narrative depth. For instance, glimpses of corporate logos or often mentions of defense contractor reinforce the film underlying commentary on the intersection of business and politics, while quarter character movement, banning, noticing an inconsistency in an official reporter questioning a subordinate hesitation highlight the meticulous attention detail that underscore the entire narrative. These elements invite viewers to engage intellectually with the story, fostering a deeper application for his layered storytelling. Finally, Section 6 empathizes the psychological stake at banning navigates a world where parents are deceiving and every decision carries consequence. The combination of visual storytelling, thematic depth, and carefully constructed tension ensure that action sequences are never empty spectacle. This word a story illuminate character and reinforce central motive. By the end of this section, the audience understand that the film's greatest challenge is not the physical threat banning faces, but the ethical and existential dilemma that define his journey. The thematic resonance evaluated the narrative, ensuring that Angela's fallen Angie's engage viewers are not only with underline and suspense but with the sophisticated mediation on trust, loyalty, and the human cost of protecting truth in the world designed to conceal it. Section 7 dives into the intricate layers of conspiracy, hidden detail, and behind the scene element that elevates Angela's funnel from the conventional actions thriller to a story rich with intelligence and intrigue. By Banning continues his relentless pursuit of the truth. The film subtly layered in clues that reward careful observation, surveillance footage, intercepted communication, the minor inconsistency in official statement all hint at carefully orchestrated plans. The audience begins to realize that the attack was not random and every obstacle Banning encounters every drone, every ambush, every misleading lead is deliberately designed to manipulate him. These elements are seamlessly integrated into the narrative, making the conspiracy feel organic rather than artificially imposed. The sense built not only through physical danger but through the intellectual challenge of piecing together a hidden puzzle, giving viewer a satisfaction of engaging actively with the story. Behind the scene trivia into the experience, adding dimension to the both narrative and the viewing experience. For example, the filmmaker decided to shoot much of the chase and action consequence at near location rather than relying solely on CGI adds authenticity, making banning struggle feel immediate and visceral. Subtle note to previous film in the franchise, the way certain locations are revisited or how specifics turn each moment from earlier installment serve as Easter egg that reward loyal fans. These touches deepen the story continuity while reminding the audience of banning long history as a protector, empathizing how this experience and past heritage shape his decision in the present crisis. Such detail underscore the film layered approach with even fleeting shots and background elements carry narrative and emotional significance. Fan theories and reflection speculation naturally emerged in section of the story, adding interactive dimension for the audience. Viewers begin to question who can truly be trusted by the conspiracy in a part of larger systematic issues, and if any action might have ripple effect beyond the immediate crisis. The narrative encourages speculation without breaking immersion. Small hints, ambiguous character behaviors, audience remains mentally engaged, theorizing. It is a narrative technique that represents and respects the viewer intelligence while reinforcing the film themes of deception and hidden danger. The tension rises, banning pieces together the full extent of conceit, discovery, compromise, efficient, misdirected security operation, add layer of complexity, forcing him to navigate more dilemmas alongside tactical challenges, cinematic technique and heightened suspense, closes of tense expression, rapid cut during pursuits, and the wide shores of ominous corporate headquarters and codified facilities convey both the scope of conspiracy and the stake of exposing it. The audience is made to feel the danger in every corridor, the uncertainties, every conservation, and the fragility of alliances at every turn. By coming narrative depth, survival, storytelling, and the subtle clues. Section 7 ensured that the conspiracy as intellectually compelling as it thrilling, concluding a multidimensional experience that resonates beyond the surface action. By the end of this section, viewers are fully immersed in the world where nothing as it seems, every encounter, every obstacle, and every evolution reinforces the film's central tension. Mike Ben. And every evolution reinforces the film's central tension. Mike banning in an against forces that are both physically formidable and intellectually insidious. The narrative prepared the audience for the approaching climax by expanding the stakes, deepening the intrigue, and heightening the emotional intensity. Section 7 showed that a story is not only a tale of survival and action but a sophisticated exploration of betrayal, hidden agendas, and the human cost of uncovering truth. Stage is set for the next sequence of action, confrontation, and resolution, where both personal and systematic stake will collide with explosive consequences. Section 8 also emphasizes the emotional intensity of banning journey, memories of family, and the guilt of our president Trumbull injury and the haunting sense of betrayal. Coverage of drive his choice. This convergence transformed the physical action into the emotional crucible where personal stakes are inseparable from operational ones. Every moment, every risk taken resonates with the audience because it deeply deeply tied to his humanity. The film balances the spectacle of action with these intimate movements, allowing viewers to feel the weight of survival, loyalty, and the more responsibility on the deeply personal level. Banning exhaustion, pain, and determination make the climax feel earned rather than merely manufactured, enhancing the emotional payoff of the impending confrontation. By the end of Section 8, the stage is fully set for a story exclusive resolution. The conspiracy is nearly unraveled. Allies and adversaries are poisoned, and the stakes, both the person systematic at their zenith. The narrative rising tension achieved a delicate equilibrium. The audience is emotionally invested in banning survival, intellectually engaged in deciphering the remaining mysteries, and viscerally absorbed in the physical intensity of action sequence. Every element, cinematography, the sound design, the choreography and conflict and psychological stakes aligns to create anticipation that is taut and irresistible. Section 8 leaves viewers pressed on the edge, bracing for the convergence of narrative threads and ultimate reckoning that will define Mike Banning's journey and the fate of those he swore to protect. Section 9 erupt into climactic confrontation where every narrative thread woven thoughtful angel has been fallen converges with explosive intensity. Mike Banning, battered, exhausted, yet unbroken, faces the full weight of the conspiracy has been chasing. The setting and fortified compound brimming with armed Mancinians and sophisticated technologies serve as both physical and symbolic battlefield. Every gunshot, every maneuver, every decision carries amplified stake because it is not merely a fight for survival, it is a fight for truth, justice, and the vindication of man wrongfully accused. The filmmaker expertly choreographed the action, blending visceral combat with strategic dignity. Bangi moves through the compound with a combination of brute force, tactical skills, and intuitive calculation, making each victory feel hard earned, each closer call a testament to his resolve. The pacing is relentless, alternating because between fast kinetic sequence and tense suspensefulness beats, giving the audience no reprieve from the rising drama. Amid the show, the emotional stakes reach their zenith. Banning is not just comfort faceless adversaries. He is confronting the betrayal of institution he once trusted, the moral ambiguity of allies, enemies alike, and the weight of responsibility for those he loves. The film punctuates this moment with intimate close-up, capturing his grit, determination, and the fleeting vulnerability. Each interaction, whether it is a fleeting exchange with or a tense standoff with a conspirator is laid with subtext. The audience feels the strain of decision making under during the constant tension between vigilance and justice and the emotional toll of the life lived in the constant peril. In this movement, narrative transcends standard action, fear transforming physical conflict into a profound meditation on loyalty, sacrifice, and the cost of heroism. The confrontation also unravels the full scope of conspiracy. Banning systematically exposes the orchestrators, corrupt contractors, high-ranking officials, and mercenary operators who greed and ambition fueled an assault. Each revelation is delivered with cinematic clarity, often juxtaposed with tense action sequences that heighten the stakes and maintain suspense. The audience experience both the satisfaction of justice being revealed and the underline of the immediate physical danger, subtle Easter eggs, and the reference to earlier plot points reward attentive viewer, reinforce the story meticulous construction, for example. Minor detail planned in parodial sequence, security footage, dialogue, hints, and the environmental cues now coalesces into the coherent narrative, demonstrating the film's careful planning and layering of intrigue. As the climax unfolds, Mike relationship with President Trump is given its final resonant emotional beat. This mutual trust tested as a strain throughout the film is reformed in quiet, meaningful gestures, a nude, a brief embrace, a shared glance, the small moment of connection amidst the chores underscore the human dimension of story, reminding viewers that the battlefields are not external but profoundly personal. Banning Trevor is therefore dual. He restored his name and credibility while reaffirming the bonds of loyalty and truth that defined his moral center. The film balances speculate and sentiment with skills, ensuring that the climax resonates both emotionally and narratively. By the end of section 9, the conspiracy is demonstrated. The villains are exposed and Mike banning integrity and resilience are fully affirmed, yet the resolution is tempered with realism. The world remains complicated, dangerous, and morally nuanced. The audience experience Catherine's not through grandiose celebration, but through the quiet satisfaction of justice achieved, truth revealed, and a hero vindicated. The narrative culminations exemplify the careful balance of action, emotion, intellectual engagement that has been built across the preceding section. Section 9 leaves viewers breathless, emotionally invested and intellectually fulfilled, perfectly setting the stage for the final reflective clear in section 10, where journey, motion, and thematic resonance with fully crystallized. Section 10 unfold a reflective calm after a storm, allowing the audience to absorb the emotional, moral, and narrative weight of angles has fallen, the physical battle has ended, the conspirator exposed and a mic banning name cleared, but the film does not settle into easy triumphs. Instead, it lingers on the human cost of heroism, the scars, both visible and invisible, that come from the life lived in perpetual danger, banning body battered his mind, exhausted, yet his presence is steady, a testament is license, and the quiet strength that defined him. The filmmaker uses space to underscore the thematic heart of story. Loyalty, sacrifice, and a personal tool of protecting truth in a world that often seeks to obscure it. The camera linger on small gesture, on hand resting on a chair, a deep breath, the weight of small shared with tremble, signifying the triumphs of president. Trumbull, now reformed, represents the restoration of trust and mutual respect after betrayal and chose. Likewise, his connection with his father, Clay is a tentative reconciliation highlighting the enduring power of family and the importance of legacy. These interactions are subtle yet resonant, offering emotional payoff that complements the film intense action sequence. The story make it clear that heroism is not only defined by physical fate, but by the courage of maintain one principle and connection, even when the world seem determined to punish them. Through these movements, the audience is invited to reflect on the broader implications of loyalty, duty, and the human cost of service. Cinematic techniques reinforce a narrative reflective tone, soft latings, long takes, and ambient sound design create a sense of quiet resolution, contrasting sharply with the relentless energy of climax. Visual motif shadow giving way to light reflection now clear rather than distorted, an open landscape signaling freedom underscore the thematic manner clarity and truth through hard-won and ultimately achievable. The careful integration of these visual cues ensures that the conclusion is not merely a disownment but a cinematic meditation, a license. Morality and the consequence of living a life defined by duty. The film also closes with a subtle acknowledgement of ongoing tension. While Banning has survived the systematic corruption he confronted, remain a president backdrop, reminding viewers that vigilance and integrity are continual struggle. These announced ending avoid clashy resolution, instead honing the complexity of the narrative and the realism of its characters. It reinforces the idea that heroism is not one-time victory but a continuous demanding path where moral courage and a personal sacrifice define true value. The audience leave with a sense of earned satisfaction, tempered with the understanding that the challenges banning face extend beyond the extreme, resonating with universal theme of duty, ethics, and human resilience. Finally, the film concludes on personal reflection. Mike Banning standing amid the quiet aftermath, his figure transformed not just by the physical traits endured but by the moral and emotional journey undertaken. The steady rhythm of his presence contrasts with the chose life behind, a visual metaphor for endurance, honor, and the quiet heroism that define his character. The audience is left with a lingering impression of courage in the face of overwhelming odds, the power of loyalty, and the profound cost of living a life committed to the protection of others. In its closing moment, Angel has fallen is both on underlying charts, spectacle, and deeply human story, ensuring that the emotional, thematic, and narrative journey resonate long after the final frame fade